digital artist from Mexico. On this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to create an animation of a ghost in Adobe After Effects, and then we're going to make a GIF in Photoshop. So first thing we're going to do is open After Effects, and what we can do is go here and click on this new icon, this little icon, and make a new composition. So for the width and height, we're going to make this big enough so we can post it on social media. So 1000 by 1000. The frame rate is 30, and for now we're going to leave the duration to 120. So just press OK, and you're going to have a new comp. Now on this new comp, the first thing I'm going to create is going to be a background. So I'm going to go here to Layer, New, Solid. And here on the color, I'm going to pick this color, EC7D45, which is an orange, and press OK. Now if I do this, I have my solid here, but I can move it if I want. So I don't want that. I'm going to go click here on this little lock. So now my layer, or my solid in this case, stays on the same place. Next thing that I'm going to do is create an ellipse. So I just go to ellipse, double click on the ellipse. You can see the double click here. And I'm going to create an ellipse that is as big as my composition. I'm going to change the fill to white. And now here on my contents, here I can open my ellipse, then let's go to my ellipse path, and here I have the size, which is 1000 by 1000, and I can decrease this to something smaller, like this. This is too small, so let's input a new value, maybe something like 300, 350, that's okay. And now we have our circle. Next thing that I'm going to do is going to be a square. So I'm just going to go to the rectangle tool. Again, double click on the rectangle once you have selected to make it the size of your comp. Just as I did with my circle, first I'm going to name this so I don't accidentally don't know where they are. So all you have to do is just click on the layer, press enter on your keyboard, and then just change the name. So now I can open here the rectangle, find the size as well. You can see that I can decrease it here or increase it. So I'm going to input the exact same value, so 350. And now you don't see any difference because one is on top of the other. So now you cannot see the circle, but that's really what we want. So what I'm going to do is just select my rectangle, and while pressing Shift, I'm going to move it down. It doesn't matter really where you move it. You just want to see your circle. Now you're going to go here to View and go to Show Rulers, or you could use the shortcut Ctrl-R. Then let's drag by clicking here on the top and drag one here in the middle. So I position it on the middle of the circle, right there. Now I can move while pressing Shift my square, and you can see that now that's snapping. I can go to View and just click here where it says Show Guides so I don't see them anymore. And now you can see that my rectangle, or my square in this case, is right there on the middle. I'm just going to press Ctrl D to duplicate it. You can see that now I have two. I have the rectangle and rectangle 2. This rectangle 2, I'm going to change the scale, but I want to unlink these two, so I just change one parameter. And I'm going to change this number to something smaller. You could do it like dragging, but maybe 50 is good. So just drop it here on the bottom. The next thing I want to do is go to Window, Effects, and Presets. This window is going to appear. In here I'm going to type Wave Warp. So this Wave Warp effect, I'm just going to drag it and drop it on that rectangle number 2. And now you can see how here in the bottom I have these waves that are going to be moving all along my comp. So I'm just going to go here to frame 60, press N on my keyboard to make my work area shorter. Now let's make a little ramp preview by just pressing Enter on our keyboard, or the spacebar, depends on what you have configured. And now you can see how that is being moving. Now I can make all this, close them actually, and you can see that if I move the circle, the rest is not following along. So I'm just going to select the two, go to this tool that is called Pick Whip, and just select the circle. So I just drag that tool, and now if I move my circle, you can see that everything is moving just as I want it. Now I'm going to press my letter P on my keyboard to bring the position. You can see how it was like that. If I press P, position is here. I'm going to add a keyframe right there by clicking on the stopwatch, and another one at the end by clicking on that little hexagon. Then I'm going to find Window, Wiggler, and here is the wiggler. Now here you have frequency and magnitude. I'm going to change frequency to something around, first let's go with the magnitude, so 5 and 2, maybe that works well. And if I click apply, you can see that I get some keyframes generated there on my timeline. And the nice thing about this is that they're going to be a loop. So the first and last keyframe are going to be the same. So you can have this forever. You can see how it's moving from one side to the other. And I think this is good to show the movement on the ghost. So next thing I'm going to do is go to my pen tool. Let's change the fill to another color. Let me type one that it's kind of like a purplish color. So something like A98 DC F to have a light purple. And I'm just going to make a point here, make another point here and drag. You can see how I'm doing that. Make another point here and drag and just close it. Now the shape is not looking good, so I'm just going to go here to this anchor point selected and have this handle, the one on the right, go touch all the way to that little square on the middle. The same that I'm going to do here, and now I have my eye. Now I can duplicate this. You can see that I selected, and the next thing that I have to do is just duplicate by pressing Ctrl D. Now I have two. But what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do to this duplicate layer that I just did, and I'm just going to press S for scale. Now here on I'm going to unlink them, and I just want to change X to less 100. So you're going to see that it's going to be reflected on the other side, which is exactly what I want. Just like that. Now I want to be able to move one path, and then the other moves as well. So what I'm going to do is open the contents, open the shape, and find the path. And I'm going to do the same for that shape layer number 2. And now on this shape layer number 2, I'm just going to go and parent my path to my other path. And now if I just move this, you can see the shape layer on number 1, you can see how the other one moves as well. So that's exactly what we want. I'm going to add a keyframe, go around here so you see, and move this all the way to the top. And you could change the expression like this and maybe make a blink. This is just that you see that whatever I do on shape layer number 1, I'm gonna have it on shape layer number 2. So now I'm just going to copy and paste that first keyframe by Ctrl C and Ctrl V. And now if I ease this by pressing, sorry, if I just have a RAM preview, you're gonna see how they work like that. But of course a blink doesn't work like that. We have to move the bottom and also the top. So it will be something like this. So I'm just going to adjust that middle position. I don't like to completely close the eyes because it's going to look like just a ghost without anything else. So now you can see how they are looking more like a blink. And I'm going to select all my keyframes and press F9 to ease them. You can see it right there. And also what you can do is select them all, go here to your graph editor, and you're gonna see your graph. Here you can make it bigger, select all the keyframes, and what I want to do is just move these handles a little bit to the right and to the left to exaggerate the motion. So now you can see how this goes blinking. Maybe it's a little bit too fast. We can adjust that later, so it really doesn't matter for now. We can just leave it as it is. Next, I'm going to make sure that I'm not selecting everything and go and create an ellipse. This one we can draw it, so we can simply go here and actually double click and have one big circle that covers my whole composition. Go into my size and make one that is super small. So let's just put 10 so we can see it. Of course, it's going to be a little bit bigger, like around 25. And now that we have this, this is going to be my mouth. So I'm just gonna position it here in the middle, around here. And there we go. Now next thing that I want to do is go here and select my ellipse path, and then go right click and go to convert to Bezier path. And now we have a path instead of an ellipse shape. And now all I have to do is just, let's go around here to this frame. Maybe we can go all the way to here, like 22 or something, to have our first keyframe. And then go back a little bit down and just add another keyframe. And for this one, I just want to select this bottom anchor point and move it to the top. So it's kind of like a sad ghost, and then it just opens to make like a boo sound. And then let's say that around this frame, I just copy this same keyframe, the one that I had before. So I had like an static mouth from those keyframes. Then let's copy and paste the first one. Again, F9, and I'm just going to exaggerate the movement a little bit. So now if I go and have a run preview, you can see how that one is doing boo, and then coming back to be like a sad ghost. So I think this is working okay. So now that we have that working, all I have to do is make sure that everything is organized. So I can just collapse all the layers. And if you remember, we have these 3 layers that are our face. So I'm just going to go right click, pre-comp, and this pre-compose window is going to appear here. Here I can call this one face, and now I have a single layer on my composition. I can move the face down a little bit. So I think that would work better. Now here, I want to actually make the ghost a little bit shorter. So you can do that by moving your anchor point here with the pan behind tool on the top, and then just simply move the scale here. Just unlink them and move one. And then just finally go to that rectangle number 2 and move it a little bit to the top. Remember that if you press shift, you constrain the movement from one axis. And now that I have it on the right position, I think that works well. Now I want that when the ghost is doing the motion, the face also follows. So I'm just gonna duplicate the circle by pressing Ctrl D. And now that I have the circle, I can simply just remove the visibility and parent my face to that circle number 2. So now you can see that if I have a run preview, the face is following the circle. I can select the rest of the elements and right click pre-compose and call this one body. So now I only have 2 layers, and that circle layer that is just helping me with the motion. Okay, so next thing I want to do is go here to create a rectangle, but actually we should do a rounded rectangle. So I'm just going to delete this one and go to rounded rectangle, and this one I'm going to draw it. So just click and drag to make a shape about this size. I'm going to change the color to white by clicking here on the fill, and I'm going to go to my text tool, just click and type boo. Now I'm using the Carlico font, but you could use whatever font works for you, and adjust it to the size of your speech bubble. So for me it's going to be around maybe something smaller, like 90 or something. So now that we have these 2 shapes selected, I can go to Align. If you don't have the window, go to Window, Align. And here, making sure that I'm on selection, I can go horizontal and vertical aligned. Next, while selecting my shape layer number 1, I'm going to go to my pen tool and just make a point here, another one here, another one here, and close it. So now I have more like a speech bubble, and everything is on shape layer number 1. Okay. So next, I'm going to parent that boo text with my shape layer. So now if I scale this or whatever, they move together. I'm just going to go to my pan behind tool to put my anchor point right there on that point. And next, while selecting my shape layer, I'm going to press S to bring the scale. And let's say around here where it changed the mouth, I want to change this to 120 here on frame 30. Now on frame 33, I want to bring this back to 100, and on this first frame that I placed in 24, just to 0. So now if I ease them with F9 and I have a little preview, you can see how that kind of bounces there. Now here for the curve, I only want to alter the end and the beginning, so I don't mess with the middle. And you can see how now that one is popping there. So next thing I want to do is add a little bit of a style. So let's go to the face and go here to layer styles, and in here you have a lot of different layer styles. So you could use different ones. For this work we're going to use drop shadow. So I actually made a mistake there and added inner glow. So I'm just going to undo that. Right click, layer styles, drop inner shadow, sorry. So then you have that one. You can open the inner shadow properties, and here I'm going to change the color to a blue one. So let's go and find a nice blue. Let's go here and change the opacity. Maybe I can drop it down a little bit. So instead of 75, something like 50. We can also change the bleed mode to overlay. Global light for now, you could either use it or not, depends on what you want. And I'm going to move around my distance. And also you can see the choke. When you do that, it's going to have a little bit more, which is exactly what I want. And I want to add some noise. So it's going to have a style like this. So maybe 9 or a little bit bigger. This really depends. It's up to you, like what you want, what the result you're looking for. So maybe a little bit more grain or maybe a little bit less. So something like that I think works for me for now. So what you could do is just simply copy and paste the layer style. And first let me do this actually a little bit darker, so you can really see it. And now I want to apply this to my body. So once I have the right parameters that I want, maybe the choke is being too harsh. So yeah, I think that works fine. So all I have to do right now is simply go to my body, and as I said, you could simply copy and paste it, but it's not going to work because the body is white. So I'm gonna do it again so you see what I just did before. Again, remember that you go in this layer, right click on your mouse on this body layer, right click, layer styles, and again inner shadow. So just as before, we have that black thing, and you could simply, as I said, copy and paste or see the parameters. Here I'm just sampling the same color. If I go and apply overlay, you're gonna see that that doesn't work. That's what I was telling you. So I'm just gonna stay with multiply on this one and change the values differently, because since this is white and I want this to look different, it's going to be need a little bit of different parameters, because if I use the same ones as I am just typing them right now, you can see that the result is really not what we want. So we need to change the opacity and to bring this down to around 50 maybe, so it's exactly the same, but it's still not working for me. So let's add some noise, reduce the choke, because on the white areas I don't want it to be like as intense as it was on the eyes. So again, I'm just adjusting it to the point where I can see that it's a style that I like. Yeah, maybe something like this is working better. And let's increase the size a bit. So once you get something that you like, again, as I said, you can just press Ctrl C on your layer styles, go and find, let's say, this bubble. And what you can do is, while selecting this, again, just add the right click and add the effect, or you could simply, as I said, just go Ctrl C and Ctrl B But you can see that if I do that, I'm pasting this one that was on multiply. So I don't want that. I want to do the one on the body. So here I have the layer styles, but they are the ones on the face. So the reason why we're not seeing anything is because it's on overlay and not on multiply. So that's the reason. We could either change this or just delete the styles and bring the correct ones. Let's copy the ones on the body because it's also white. Ctrl C, select your layer, Ctrl P. Now you can see they are there. But again, just as we did with the body, we have to adjust this so it doesn't look like this. So I don't want this to be covering that much area because this is a smaller shape. So that's good. So once you found something that you like, the next thing that you're going to do is let's just collapse everything, select everything, or right click, pre-compose, and we can call this one ghost. And now you can move it around a little bit to the center so you have it more centered. Just like that. And I can unlock this one to make a copy, so Ctrl D. Just put it in the top. Now let's go here to our effects. And now we're going to find noise. So I'm just going to drag and drop that noise. Let's change the amount of noise here to something bigger, like maybe 55. And here on the mode, I'm going to change the mode to overlay. And you can see that maybe that's something that you like. You can play around with the modes and see what works for you. So I'm just going to go to my transparency, my opacity by pressing T. And let's just bring this down to something lower, like maybe 25. And now if I have a little run preview, you can see how the ghost is moving. And also you have that little noise effect on top and it's saying just boo. And then going back. So now that we have this, all I have to do is make some adjustments here because I'm thinking that maybe the mouth is moving a little bit odd. Actually, the blink happening at first is not good. So I want it to blink, and the blink is going to precede the movement of the mouth. You can see it in here. All I have to do to access those compositions is just double click. So let's make this one longer. As I said, all I had to do was go to that last keyframe and press Alt to stretch it while selecting all of them. And I think that's working better. So now I'm just going to go File, Export, Add to Render Queue, and here just select whatever works for you. Since I'm going to make a GIF, just QuickTime animation is good, and just hit Render. So you make a render of this. So now you're going to go into Photoshop, go File, and let's go Open and bring that Comp 1, and it's right here. Now I'm just going to go to File, Export, Save for Web or Legacy. And here you're going to see that I have it, but this is a PNG. I'm going to change the preset to GIF. It really doesn't matter for now which one you pick because we're going to change the colors, but I just picked the 128 dithering. This may take a little bit because it's big. So you can see that I have there my colors. I can bring them down to around 16 because we don't need that many different colors. So 16 is going to work well. You can see how the size is going to decrease. And also remember that this is quite big, and the reason why we did that was for social media. But if you want to make a small GIF as an icon or for GIF or something, just reduce the size. So instead of being 1000, you can go to 500. And if you do that, you're going to see again that the size is going to decrease. And with that, we have our GIF. You make sure that you're looping forever and just hit play and just hit save. So with this, we have finished our GIF animation. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.